Fremont, California. Fremont, /Fremont, is a city in Alameda County, California, United States. It was incorporated on January 23, 1956, from the annexation of Centerville, Niles, Irvington, Mission San José, and Warm Springs. The city is named after John C. Fremont, an American explorer and former U.S. Senator from California, Governor from Arizona, Major General in the Union Army, and the first Republican presidential candidate, in 1856. Located in the southeast San Francisco Bay Area and straddling both the East Bay and South Bay regions, Fremont has a rapidly growing population of around 230,000. It is one of the largest cities by land area and the fourth most populous city in the San Francisco Bay Area, behind San Jose, San Francisco, and Oakland. It directly borders and is the closest East Bay city to Silicon Valley as formally defined, and is thus often associated with it. The city has an extensive and rapidly expanding base of both tech industry and workers. The area consisting of Fremont and the cities of Newark and Union City is known collectively as the Tri-City area, different from the adjacent Tri-Valley area encompassing Pleasanton, Dublin, and Livermore. History. Early history. The recorded history of the Fremont area began on June 6, 1795, when Mission San José was founded by the Spaniard Father Fermín de Lasuen. The mission was established at the site of the Olón village of Oroisum. On their second day in the area, the mission party killed a grizzly bear in Niles Canyon. The first English-speaking visitor to Fremont was the renowned trapper and explorer Jedediah Smith in 1827. The mission prospered, eventually reaching a population of 1,887 inhabitants in 1831. The influence of the missionaries declined after 1834, when the Mexican government enacted secularization. José de Jesus Vallejo, brother of Mariano Vallejo, was the grantee of the Rancho Arroyo de la Alameda Mexican land grant. His family was influential in the Fremont area in the late colonial era, and owned and built a flour mill at the mouth of Niles Canyon. In 1846 the town's namesake John C. Fremont led a military expedition to map a trail through Mission Pass for reaching the Pacific coast and to take possession of California from Mexico for the United States. The Fremont area grew rapidly at the time of the California Gold Rush. A town called Mission San José grew up around the old mission, with its own post office from 1850. Agriculture dominated the economy with grapes, nursery plants, and olives as leading crops. In 1868 the 6.8 magnitude Hayward earthquake on the Hayward Fault collapsed buildings throughout the Fremont area, ruining Mission San José and its outbuildings. Until the 1906 San Francisco earthquake caused its destruction, the Fremont area's Palmdale Winery was the largest in California. The ruins of the Palmdale Winery are still visible near the Five Corners in Irvington. From 1912 to 1915 the Niles section of the Fremont area was the earliest home of California's motion picture industry. CSNA Studios. Charlie Chaplin filmed several movies in the Fremont area, most notably The Tramp. Incorporation. Fremont was incorporated in 1956 under the leadership of Wally Pond, chair of the Incorporation Committee, when 5 towns in the area, Irvington, Centerville, Mission San José, Niles, and Warm Springs came together to form a city. Glenmoor Gardens, the largest subdivision in Fremont, was under construction in the area, by developers Ralph E. Cotter, Jr., James R. Meyer, civil engineer Fred T. Duval, and contractors James L. Reeder, and Robert H. Reeder. When the Glenmoor Gardens Homeowners Association, GGHA, was incorporated, in March 1953, there were no more than 75 houses in the subdivision. It was probably the first such organization in the Fremont area, in its scope and structure. The 5-member board of directors, which included James Meyer and James Reeder, was set up to oversee a full range of services, from police and fire protection to street maintenance, which later became the purview of the city government. Fremont became more industrialized between 1953 and 1962. A boom in high-tech employment in the 1980s to the late 1990s, especially in the Warm Springs district, caused rapid development in the city and linked the city with the Silicon Valley. The Apple factory where the first Mac computer was manufactured was located in Fremont. Production ceased in 1993. Other semiconductor and telecommunications firms soon opened in the city, including Cirrus Logic, Assist Technologies, Matson Technology, Lam Research, Premises Communications, and NextLink California. Approximately 750 high-tech companies had offices, headquarters, or production facilities in Fremont by 1999. These firms included 15 of the top 100 fastest-growing public companies in the San Francisco Bay Area and 18 of the top 50 companies in the East Bay. The high-tech growth in Fremont continues today and is a major industry for the city. The General Motors automotive assembly plant in South Fremont was the town's largest employer, and Fremont was known for its drag strip. In the 1980s, the plant became a joint venture automotive assembly plant of Toyota and General Motors, and was renamed NUMMI. Toyota and NUMMI shut down its operations in early 2010. Part of the plant was acquired in June 2010 by Tesla Motors as its primary production plant, known as the Tesla Factory. Solyndra, a solar panel manufacturer, was personally promoted in 2010 by President Barack Obama as a model for government investment in green technology after his administration approved a $535 million Department of Energy loan guarantee, and the company built a $733 million state-of-the-art robotic facility. But in 2011 the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and laid off 1,000 workers. Data storage company Seagate Technology, incorporated in the Republic of Ireland with executive offices in Cupertino, acquired the former Solyndra building. The first Fremont post office opened in 1956. Geography. Nestled between the East Bay rolling hills and the San Francisco Bay were 5 small, independent towns: Centerville, Niles, Irvington, Mission San José, and Warm Springs. These towns were annexed into a single new, incorporated city called Fremont in 1956. 6 decades later, these places have greatly expanded, are no longer separate communities, and are considered districts or community plan areas of the city of Fremont. The town of Newark was originally slated to join the annex, but ultimately its voters declined. Newark became its own incorporated city in 1955. Since incorporation, Fremont has created 6 more districts, which it calls community plan areas for planning purposes. These include Central, North Fremont, South Fremont, and Bayside. The 2 other districts, Baylands and the Hill areas, are primarily open space. Centerville District. Centerville was the main town in Washington Township. Centerville is located at 37°3315 and 121°5957 W/37.55417° and 121.99917° W/37.55417, -121.99917. It lies at an elevation of 52 feet, 16 m. Centerville was started by George Lloyd, who started selling cold beer to stage passengers from a tent in 1850. Captain George Bond set up a general store and the name Centerville was chosen. The post office opened Centerville Post Office in 1855 and changed the spelling to Centerville in 1893. The Centerville Pioneer Cemetery contains the burial places of many of the city's founding pioneers. Centerville can be traced back to its Native American roots. Spanish, Mexican, Italian, Portuguese, and Swiss Park peoples were among the early settlers that contributed greatly to the growth of Centerville. Most of Centerville was and still is Catholic. Early Centerville was a quiet farming community, which consisted of large Spanish land grants divided into smaller farms. The Freitas Ranch on Thornton Ave was probably the largest of the working farms. There were acres of apricot along with other fruit and nut orchards and large fields of various types of fresh produce. After President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066, which authorized military commanders to exclude any or all persons from certain areas in the name of national defense, the Western Defense Command began ordering Japanese Americans living on the West Coast to present themselves for evacuation from the newly created military zones. This included many Centerville farming families. Centerville was also a main stop for the early railways. This gave the local farmers a way to quickly get their produce to market. With the access to railway service, there was once a large cannery on Bain Ave west of Fremont Ave, now Peralta, next to the tracks. In 1959, the cannery was destroyed in the largest fire in Fremont's history. The fire lasted for 2 days, and effectively put an end to what had been the largest employer in Centerville at the time. The cannery was never rebuilt. Housing developments began to appear in the area after World War II. Most of the early housing stood along Fremont Boulevard from Dakota Road, south to Washington High School, along Thornton Ave from Fremont Boulevard, west to the Newark City border, and along Peralta Boulevard, from Fremont Boulevard to Niles. For city planning purposes, Centerville was enlarged to encompass most of the north-central residential section of Fremont, from Maury Ave to Dakota RD, from I-880 to the BART line. This Centerville community plan area includes the sprawling subdivisions, developed in the 1950s and 1960s, of Glenmoor Gardens, bounded by Central Avenue, Fremont Boulevard, Maury Avenue, and the I-880 freeway, and the Cabrillo Park subdivision bound by Thornton Ave, Fremont Boulevard, Dakota Road, and the I-880 freeway. Also the Brookvale subdivisions, the Quarry Lakes Regional Park, and part of FREE-mont. The area is served by 2 high schools, Washington High School, Fremont, California, established in 1892, which for a long time was the only high school in the area, and American High School, established in 1972. It also has 2 junior high schools, Centerville Junior High School and Thornton Junior High School, which now stands on the old main site of the Freitas Ranch. Niles District. The town is physically divided from other parts of Fremont and neighboring Union City by Mission Boulevard, State Route 238, to the east and north, Alameda Creek to the south, Union Pacific Railroad to the west and southeast, and the Quarry Lakes to the southwest. The hills of Niles are lower than those of the area south of the Alameda Creek in Mission San José. Old Town Niles features its own library, post office, and silent movie theater, as well as a large number of antique and craft stores. Niles is located at 37°3444 and 121°5840 W/37.57889° and 121.97778° W/37.57889-121.97778, Niles District. It lies at an elevation of 112 feet, 34 m. The community, once called Vallejo Mills, got its name from the Central Pacific Railroad's Niles Depot, built in 1870 as part of the first transcontinental railroad and named after their railroad attorney and stockholder Addison Niles, who became 2 years later Associate Justice on the California Supreme Court. A post office was opened at Niles in 1873. Niles was the home of one of the first West Coast motion picture companies, S&A Studios. Charlie Chaplin and Bronco Billy Anderson filmed some of their most famous silent movies in Niles. Scenic Niles Canyon stretches between Niles and Sunol. The non-profit Niles S&A Silent Film Museum offers both artifacts of Niles' early years, and each Saturday evening, screenings of early 20th century silent films, many of which were filmed locally. The Niles Canyon Railway runs along Alameda Creek in Niles Canyon, and carries passengers on weekend excursions, including a holiday train of lights which is extremely popular. Tickets for these trains typically sell out by early October. The Niles Canyon Railroad has a small but well-maintained collection of historic rail stock. Part of historic Niles is Mayhew Spring, also known as Mayhew's Sulphur Spring, which was located 600 feet, 180 m, north of the Niles Railroad Depot. The facility was owned by H. A. Mayhew. The coast-to-coast completion of the Transcontinental Railroad is reported to have occurred in nearby Niles Canyon. In September 1869, 4 months after the famous Golden Spike ceremony at Promontory Summit, Utah, the Central Pacific Railroad completed the transcontinental rail link between Sacramento and the San Francisco Bay, finishing the track through the canyon. The Central Pacific had acquired the Western Pacific and other local railroads and built track to connect them at a waterfront terminal at Alameda Point. Also part of Niles is Niles Junction on the Western Pacific Railroad, located at 37°3435 and 121°5817 W/37.57639° and 121.97139° W/37.57639. 121.97139, Niles Junction WPRR, and situated at an elevation of 79 feet, 24 m. Of special note is the annual antique fair and flea market which takes place on the last Sunday in August. The entire town turns out with things to sell as early as Saturday morning, with bargain hunters from the Bay Area and beyond visiting in search of bargains. Niles is also home to the FREE-mont Gurdwara, which serves the large American Sikh community of Fremont as a religious shrine open to not only the Sikhs but to everyone regardless of their caste and religion. Irvington District. The Irvington District area has cycled through many name changes over time. Shortly after the U.S. Civil War, an emancipated black man traveled from the southern United States to California, reputedly in search of a fortune. The former slave noticed the traffic at the crossroads of what is today the Five Corners intersection in Fremont. The Transcontinental Railroad passed through this region, bringing many passers-by. Realizing a financial opportunity, he constructed the first building at the crossroads, a tavern with an inn known as Dave's Saloon. This corner, today the intersection of Fremont and Washington Boulevards, Union and Bay Streets, is known as Five Corners or Irvington Square. Irvington Square's marker, Irvington Plaza Park, is located at 37°3122 and 121°5818 W/37.52278° and 121.97167° W/37.52278, 121.97167, Irvington Square. The inn and several of the other original buildings were demolished by the city of Fremont in the early 1980s. In 1871, Washington College, one of the first industrial educational institutions in California, was established in Washington Township near the crossroads. As a result, the U.S. Postal Service established a post office called Washington Corners at the college in 1870, which became the name of the settlement on the 1878 Alameda County map of Washington Township. In 1884, realizing the need for a proper town name, local inhabitants selected the name of Irving. The name was chosen in honor of Judge Irving, the local traveling circuit judge of the time. Later, when the railroad came through the area, the published train schedule pamphlets erroneously listed the Irving train depot as Irvington. The town petitioned the railroad about the error. The railroad company notified the town that it was too costly for them to replace the train schedule pamphlets, over $100,000, and in 1887, following the recommendation, the people of Irving changed the town name to Irvington. The Irvington district has two main neighborhoods, Irvington Woods and the Irvington Square. The neighborhood is ethnically mixed and is primarily working class. For city planning purposes, the Irvington area was enlarged to encompass most of the south-central residential section of Fremont, from Auto Mall Parkway to Maury Avenue, from I-880 to roughly the BART line, excluding the central district described below. This Irvington Community Plan area includes the Sundale neighborhood, the South Sundale neighborhood, 28 Palms, Blackout, and Grimmer subdivisions. The area is served by 3 high schools, Irvington High School, Robertson High School, and John F. Kennedy High School. Mission San José District. At the time of the California Gold Rush, a boom town grew up around the old mission, to equip and transport 49 ERS overland to the gold fields. A post office was opened at Mission San José in 1850, The district, like Niles, is surrounded by hills. The hills are higher and steeper than Niles, with the highest points being on the Mission Ridge. Mission San Jose district lies close to the northern two peaks, Mission Peak and Mount Allison. Mission Peak is very distinctive and is one of Fremont's emblems. These peaks go from 2,517 to 2,604 feet, 794 m, taller than Mount Tamalpais, a great height for the San Francisco Bay Area. They see some deep snow occasionally. Fremont's Community College, Lone College, is situated 1 block away from the Mission and serves over 12,000 students. Mission San Jose has the highest concentration of Asian Americans in Fremont, over 50% of the population as of the 2000 census. The local high school is Mission San Jose High School, ranked 67 in the nation by U.S. News & World Report. The median family income for the Mission San Jose area, zip code 94,539, exceeded $114,595 in 2005. Owing to an influx of professionals and other affluent families seeking access to the top-performing local public schools, Mission San Jose's median home value reached $831,000 in 2006, earning the community a rank of 237 on Forbes magazine's list of the 500 most affluent communities in the United States. In 2001, an attempt by community organizations in the Mission San Jose district to withdraw from the Fremont Unified School District caused statewide controversy and led to accusations of racism from both sides. The attempt was prompted by a redrawing of the school enrollment areas, under which some Mission San Jose residents would send their children to Horner Junior High and Irvington High schools. The controversial effort to secede was dropped later that year. Fremont's public schools continue to rank among the best in California. Mission San Jose. Nestled at the base of Fremont's rolling hills is the Mission San Jose, one of the oldest of the historic Spanish missions in California, for which this district is named. The church building that exists today is a reconstruction, dedicated in 1985 for daily mass and tours, of the original 1809 adobe church that was destroyed by the 1868 Hayward Fault earthquake. One side of the original Mission quadrangle remains and houses a museum. Mission San Jose is located at 37°3159 and 121°5513 W/37.53306° and 121.92028° W/37.53306. 121.92028, Mission San Jose, and lies at an elevation of 305 feet, 93 m. Warm Springs District. Warm Springs is located on Rancho Agua Caliente and is so named for the springs that are located there. In early times, there was a settlement called Harrisburg, also, Harrisburg and Peacocks, a short distance east from the small settlement of Warm Springs. A post office opened in Harrisburg in 1865 and changed its name to Warm Springs in 1885. The name Harrisburg commemorated Abram Harris, who settled there in 1858. The name Peacocks commemorated George W. Peacock, its first postmaster. The post office name changed to Warm Springs in 1895 and reverted to Warm Springs in 1950. The Warm Springs district is the southernmost portion of Fremont, whose hub is the Warm Springs and Mission Boulevard intersection. It is located at 37°2914 and 121°5545 W/37.48722° and 121.92917° W/37.48722, -121.92917, and lies at an elevation of 62 feet, 19 m. Due to its proximity to the center of Silicon Valley, Warm Springs has attracted the headquarters of many high-tech companies including Nielsen Norman Group, Lam Research, Corsair Memory, and Lexar of the US, as well as foreign high-tech companies such as Elite Group Computer Systems, and ASUS. The district is also home to blue-collar industry. The San Jose Mission is also present. Warm Springs also serves as commercial center for the mainly residential Mission San Jose district, especially since the construction of Pacific Commons, a large, modern regional shopping center. The Oakland Athletics talked about moving their stadium to this area. The large Asian population in Mission San Jose comes to Warm Springs for authentic Asian stores such as the 99 Ranch and Marina Food supermarkets, as well as more traditional supermarkets such as Safeway. It was also home to one of the SF Bay Area's only 2 coffee houses to employ baristas who wear bikinis, your coffee cups, a concept that's gained some controversy from Bay Area newspapers and news stations. This controversy led to the eventual closing of the business. The BART extension to Warm Springs began construction in 2009 and Warm Springs/South FREE-mont station opened for service on March 25, 2017. Central District. The Central District is surrounded by the Centerville, Niles, Mission San Jose, and Irvington communities. The Central District contains retail shopping centers, e.g., the Fremont Hub, the Fremont Bay Area Rapid Transit Station, healthcare centers and Central Park, Lake Elizabeth. City planners envision a mid-density, pedestrian-friendly, transit-oriented development, bounded by Maury Ave, Fremont Boulevard, Walnut Ave, and Paseo Padre Parkway. One of the central streets, the Capitol Avenue extension to Fremont Boulevard, was completed in 2016, as the city pursues its plans for a downtown Fremont. North Fremont District. North Fremont is a primarily residential district surrounded by Union City, Centerville District, Newark, and Coyote Hills Regional Park. It is a growing community that includes the Ardenwood neighborhood, the Lakes and Birds neighborhood, and the Northgate neighborhood. It is the site of the Ardenwood Historic Farm, which has the George Washington Patterson House as one of its highlights, and the Ardenwood Technology Park. A 99 Ranch Market is one of many Asian businesses in the North Fremont District. Thornton Junior High School and American High School, which are both physically located in the enlarged Centerville District, also serve as the junior high and high school, respectively, for this community. South Fremont District. South Fremont is a primarily industrial district, east of Interstate 880 and west of Interstate 680, south of Auto Mall Parkway and north of Brown RD. The area overlaps with Warm Springs, with which it shares the eponymous BART station. The composition of the area will change, because thousands of residential units were under construction as of 2016. It is sandwiched between the Irvington and Warm Springs community plan areas. It is noted as the site of the Tesla factory as well as the site of the Warm Springs/South Fremont BART station. Bayside Industrial District. Bayside Industrial is a primarily industrial and commercial district, west of Interstate 880 between Newark and Milpitas. Baylands District. Baylands is an open space, bay and land, district that stretches from the bay and engulfs the western edge of North Fremont, Newark, and Bayside Industrial. It is the site of the headquarters and Fremont Visitor Center of the Don Edwards San Francisco Bay National Wildlife Refuge. Hill Area District. Hill Area is an open land district that forms the eastern edge of Fremont. It is the site of Mission Peak. Climate. Fremont has a Mediterranean climate, typical of the San Francisco Bay Area. The city features warm, dry summers and mild, damp winters. Like nearby San Jose, precipitation is fairly low, about 17 inches per year, because the city lies in the rain shadow of the Santa Cruz Mountains to the west. Demographics. According to a 2007 estimate, the median income for a household in the city is $93,342, and the median income for a family was $103,846. Males have a median household income of $59,274 versus $40,625 for females. The per capita income for the city was $31,411. About 3.6% of families and 5.4% of the population were below the poverty line, including 5.9% of those under age 18 and 6.2% of those age 65 or over. As of 2010, more than half the residents of Fremont were of Asian ancestry, with large populations of Chinese, Asian Indians, and Filipinos. The 2010 United States Census reported that Fremont had a population of 214,089. The population density was 2,443.7 people per square mile, 943.5/km superscript 2. The racial makeup of Fremont was 108,332, 50.6%. Asian, consisting of 18.1% Indian, 17.8% Chinese, 6.7% Filipino, 2.5% Vietnamese, 1.8% Korean, 1.0% Pakistani, 0.8% Japanese, 0.6% Burmese, 70,320, 32.8%. White, non-Hispanic whites were 26.5% of the population in 2010, down from 85.4% in 1970. 31,698, 14.8%. Hispanic or Latino of any race, consisting of 11.0% Mexican, 0.6% Puerto Rican, 0.5% Salvadoran. 13,605, 6.4%, from other races, 12,584, 5.9%, from two or more races 7,103, 3.3%. African American, 1,169, 0.5%. Pacific Islander, 976, 0.5%. Native American. Due in large part to a substantial influx of Afghans granted asylum in the United States following the 1979 invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviet Union, Fremont is the home to the largest concentration of Afghan Americans in the United States. This is noted in Khaled Hosseini's 2003 novel Kite Runner. Fremont and nearby Union City have fairly large numbers of Pacific Islanders, Cubans, and Puerto Ricans, Spanish and Portuguese, and a small number of American Indians. Fremont also has a large deaf community, in large part because it is home of the Northern California campus of the California School for the Deaf. The school district is called the Fremont Unified School District, which also serves parts of Union City and Hayward. The census reported that 212,438 people, 99.2% of the population, lived in households, 969, 0.5%, lived in non-institutionalized group quarters, and 682, 0.3%, were institutionalized. There were 71,004 households, out of which 31,070, 43.8%, had children under the age of 18 living in them, 45,121, 63.5%, were opposite-sex married couples living together, 7,070, 10.0%, had a female householder with no husband present, 3,382, 4.8%, had a male householder with no wife present. There were 2,779, 3.9%, unmarried opposite-sex partnerships, and 444, 0.6%, same-sex married couples or partnerships. 11,576 households, 16.3%, were made up of individuals, and 3,697, 5.2%, had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.99. There were 55,573 families, 78.3% of all households. The average family size was 3.36. The population was spread out with 53,216 people, 24.9%, under the age of 18, 15,610 people, 7.3%, aged 18 to 24, 66,944 people, 31.3%, aged 25 to 44, 56,510 people, 26.4%, aged 45 to 64, and 21,809 people, 10.2%, who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 36.8 years. For every 100 females, there were 98.9 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 96.4 males. There were 73,989 housing units at an average density of 844.5 per square mile, 326.1/km superscript 2, of which 71,004 were occupied, of which 44,463, 62.6%, were owner-occupied, and 26,541, 37.4%, were occupied by renters. The homeowner vacancy rate was 1.3%, the rental vacancy rate was 4.5%. 136,606 people, 63.8% of the population, lived in owner-occupied housing units and 75,832 people, 35.4%, lived in rental housing units. There were 68,237 households, out of which 40.2% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 62.7% were married couples living together, 9.2% had a female householder with no husband present, and 23.5% were non-families. 16.5% of all households were made up of individuals, and 4.1% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.96 and the average family size was 3.34. In the city, the population was spread out with 25.8% under the age of 18, 7.7% from 18 to 24, 36.8% from 25 to 44, 21.4% from 45 to 64, and 8.3% who are 65 years of age or older. The median age is 34 years. For every 100 females, there were 101.1 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 99.2 males. Economy. Companies headquartered in Fremont include Antec Inc., Corsair Memory, Iconos Communications, Lam Research, Fremont Bank, Nielsen Norman Group, Uplink Communications, Synex, S3 Graphics, and Gap. Top employers. According to the city's June 2013 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city are: Culture and Recreation. The city of Fremont has been a Tree City, USA since 1996. There are approximately 55,000 trees in city parks, streets, and landscaped boulevard areas. The city operates the Olive Hide Art Gallery, adjacent to Mission San Jose, which has featured Bay Area artists such as Wendy Yoshimura, the California Society of Printmakers, and the ETSE Collective. The public gallery is housed in a former home of Olive Hide, a descendant of early San Francisco Mayor George Hyde. Fremont Central Park and Lake Elizabeth. Fremont Central Park has 450-acre, 1.8 square kilometers, on Paseo Padre Parkway between Grimmer Road and Stevenson Boulevard, easily accessible from I-880 and I-680. It was developed in 1960, and contains Lake Elizabeth, an 83-acre, 340,000 square meters, man-made lake. The lake was dedicated in 1969 to Fremont's former sister city, Elizabeth, South Australia. The Fremont Park Golf Course is northeast of the park, and the Aqua Adventure Water Park and group picnic areas is southwest of the park. Ardenwood Historic Farm. Ardenwood is a historic landmark park with a farm, a large forest, and a mansion now called the Patterson House, which was first constructed in 1857 by the farm's original owner, George Washington Patterson. California Nursery Historical Park. This City of Fremont Park is the last remaining 20 acres of the historic California Nursery Company. Once 463 acres, the nursery property extended to Alameda Creek and included land that is now a zoo.